Welcome to another episode of My Cluttered Mind. Hi, this is Todd from Todd Young Online. Just trying to document these sketchbooks. Here's another one from early mid '90s. Surprisingly enough, one that I finished, but it's full of me doing figures and kind of, I guess, character design. Um, Kind of hit or miss with stuff. A lot of naked figures because I still wasn't able to really do clothing all that well. I will not say that I am now. Um, but this is, a lot of these are just me. I mean, they're doodles more or less. And then when I hit on something, just kind of expand on it. I wasn't really focusing on, I mean, sure, these are some kind of anatomy studies, but I really needed and still do need to really dig into anatomy and be able to visualize the figure, um, work from uh, work from life models and even if photographs to understand what the body's doing and how to build the characters, so I can do that even from my imagination. So, uh, but you know, I've been I would for this one. I really was kind of working on character designs and anatomy, and I had this comic book idea in mind. And I mean, it's a little thinking back. I mean, it's derivative of what I was reading at the time, as far as Image and Marvel and some DC and trying to work from there. But I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere, and it's better to start from somewhere than to never start at all. So, which is kind of common, but yeah. So I'm just kind of watching this as I flip through, and just you know, I'm not really that much further along in my anatomy studies than I was here, and I really need to. I've recently purchased some uh, art uh, lessons online and sites and stuff to really start digging into this, because I found myself um, 20 years later, 25 years later, this is where I'm going back to. That when I sit down to doodle or draw, that my interest and always kind of goes back to the figure as a subject, and really trying and wanting to tell stories visually. So I need to get better, and now is as good a time as any to do that. Let me look real quick so I can document where I'm getting things from. I've got some classes on domestica.org. I've got bodiesinmotion.photo that has a lot of reference. Line of Action is another site that I came across that has some really good resources. Uh, YouTube has, if you haven't checked them out, Proko.com, Proko.com. They've got free lessons on YouTube, and the site itself is just chock full of really cool stuff, and from people that you would respect and know. So it's amazing to me how much further, how quickly things have come. It's I used to go to Barnes and Noble and Walden Books and B. Dalton and look in their clearance sections and buy art books. And I used to have this huge collection. I got tired of moving it, and I got rid of it. Most of my, the majority, I've got more books now digitally than I ever did physically, and that's saying something. I was able to buy, I had a comic book collection that was like 30 long boxes, bagged and board. Um, Now it's my comic collection digitally is like 14,000 plus. I used to buy, I still do buy off Comixology, but darkhorse.com. And I was getting Shonen Jump for a while. My daughter and I used to really love the manga, and that is a value. That Shonen Jump brick is a value you can't beat. Um, but yeah, I mean, these were all of my influences trying to, I still look back and I'm like, oh, I was hitting on something at one point and I just wasn't developing it like I should have. And now really want to go back to find that, that individual style and really want to be able to express myself in stronger visually. Um, I believe, that you can do a lot of, a one hitting on something one time is kind of a fluke. I heard I was watching something and a photographer was talking about, that he had taken like a picture that was better than he was a photographer, and I completely agree that sometimes you can hit something as an artist and you're like, oh wow, where did that come from? But you have to keep being able to do that, you know, spontaneously and at will, um, rather than hoping to get lucky. Uh, like clothing and folds are something that I still need to work desperately on. I've really gotten inspired by. At first, it was kind of intimidating. Pinterest to a certain degree. I don't really check out Pinterest too much, but it's more Instagram and now TikTok too, where artists posting their work and their process, and it's like, holy crap, they are so good. But it's like you don't and can't, everybody develops in their own way at their own pace, and you have to appreciate what you're doing when you're doing it and be consistent with exploration and keep pushing yourself to get better. It's just because somebody is doing something doesn't mean you can't do it. And I continue to say that. And one of the most flattering things I've had happen to me at some point was somebody tell me, I like how you do this, and I want to be able to do that someday too. And I'm like, wow, like, thank you. I really appreciate that. That makes me feel pretty darn good. Um, but I mean, it's true. It's it it's also given me the the presence of mind, I guess, to when you look at somebody's work and really appreciate it and just go wow, but not to um, uh, diminish what's there by calling calling it, and I want to say talent, or over you know thinking that it just happened, because when you see it, a lot of time went into that. And it's goes without saying that the more time you put into doing something, the better you get at it. um so and especially when you, for me, at I'm, as I record this, I'm 52, and I follow a lot of the artists that for comic books and illustration that I've seen since I started collecting comics or reading comics when I was in high school, and remembering when they were kids, and when these guys were, some of them were younger than I was and some of them weren't that much older, and to see them now and to be able to see how their styles um, have evolved is just another sign that you got to keep going. You got to find what you love to do and do it, even if it's not, even if it's not your main source um, of income, that sometimes you have to have a source of income to be able to fund what you really love doing. But at the same time, I think we're in a kind of a time now where, and I keep going back to this saying, it's like, be so good that they can't ignore you. And it's more channels and more avenues now to be seen and have people, somehow have you make a living off of your skills, which I completely believe in. That by the time you get to a certain point in your life, and some people it's sooner and some people maybe a little bit later, but by the time you get to a certain point in your life, you have amassed enough skills that you shouldn't have to worry about making a living off of those skills. That and I am preaching without having figured it out myself yet. But there are enough places out there and enough ways in a global economy with the internet that you should be able to take what you've learned and go out and market your skills and capitalize on your own skills, and not have to worry about having somebody else, you know, you clock in and do your 40 hours and then them give you a paycheck. That you should be able to find people that need your skills, and then you be able to, get paid for those on your own. And whether that's, whether that's art, whether that's design, whether that's process, whether, figuring something out, whether it's creating something, or just, using your mind and your skills and what you've learned to be able to help and provide value for, anybody. Whether it's, buying a lawnmower and finding some number of people and cutting their grass and then building on that, or there are so many different ways for us to find. We just need to be a little bit more entrepreneurial and think outside the box and think outside of, I have to go get a job. And I think that's one thing that, at least to me, that we're missing in school or in education in some way. That we go there, we're told to memorize all this stuff, but we aren't told or taught how to do that, how to be an entrepreneur, what it means, how to start your own business, how and everything that takes. And at least at a college level, even junior college. But I believe, us thinking, being taught better when we're in, primary school, elementary school, high school, to really think outside of the box, how to really, do critical thinking and come up with solutions and develop those solutions, and how to fail. Um, I think that's something you have to come up on your own, but at the same time, we can't fault the education system because it's not prepared for that. Our education system, and we don't have necessarily teachers that know how to do that either, because they weren't taught how to do that. They were taught how to, go from this book and the answers are in the book. There aren't any other ways for us to do that. Oh, here we are, almost at the end. Um, I love these hardback sketchbooks. They give such a permanence to the work. The paper is, just regular drawing paper, nothing special. I get these at, I think I got these from Dick Blick, or I get them from there now. They usually have a two pack sale, and they are wonderful. because you get to put them on your shelf, and it's like, hey, I've got this thing. Anyway, um, here we are at the end. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed the flip through. Look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.